Episode number 874. Small acts equal big results.
You're listening to the official BNI podcast with BNI founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Dr. Ivan Misner. Stay tuned for networking and referral marketing tips from the man who's been called the father of modern networking, along with suggestions and insights into getting the most from your membership in the world's largest networking organization, BNI.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the official BNI podcast. I'm Priscilla Rice, and I'm coming to you from Live Oak Recording Studio in Berkeley, California, and I'm joined on the phone today by Tim Roberts, who's standing in as a guest co-host for Dr. Misner. He was introduced previously in episode 866 and was a co-host in episode number 873. So welcome, Tim. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Priscilla, and thank you for everybody for joining me again this week. I'm very excited to be here to be able to help co-host BNI podcast. Last week, I talked about the importance of mindset and understanding that we own our own results when it comes to any networking, but BNI in particular. And I want to build on that this week about talking about how small acts can equal really great results when each of us as part of a team does our part. Well, last week I talked about, well, nobody can network for you. We're not networking alone either. And we do have this team around us. And the results our team is seeing can really be expanded when each individual person takes ownership of their part. So in one example last week, I talked about the importance of finding and bringing in those professions that are the most strategic for you as a member. So what professions are going to find you the most results based on opportunity because they're in your contact sphere and potentially power team? Well, if everybody in your chapter were to take that kind of approach, the results are quite astounding. I talked to a lot of my chapters about how growth is really a tool to success. It's one of the pillars to our success that we control, right? So again, just for those who may not have heard last week, the three pillars to our success are our activity, how active are we, our effectiveness, how skilled are we in that activity, and the third one is how many people are we doing that with? Meaning, what size is the opportunity presented to us based on our network? And a lot of chapters will set goals for growth throughout the year. They want to grow from 20 to 30 or 30 to 40 or, whatever number it may be. And I'll ask them, why'd you pick that number? And there's never really an answer. It's just more of, well, it seems like a good benchmark to reach. It seems like a good number. When reality is that chapter could and should double within the next month. I believe your chapter could double its size in the next 4 weeks. And the way we do that is by each and every member in the group thinking about picking what is the one profession that they need in that group selfishly, strategically, that's currently not there, right? So what is the number one profession missing from your contact sphere right now? Now, I've seen chapters do this kind of exercise where people will go around the room and share their top wanted professions. And chapters have boards of their top wanted professions. These are the top 10 professions we want in this chapter. And they'll get a few of them from time to time and maybe be able to check off one on the list, but they hardly ever complete the list. And they hardly ever, even more infrequently, complete the list in a timely manner. And the reason for that is because it's just a wish list. It's a bunch of professions on a piece of paper or on a board up somewhere saying, hey, we all want this. So if you see one, versus people taking ownership of the profession that's going to drive their results the most. So in a chapter, you can go around the room and have everybody share, what is the one profession you need? Have everybody go around the room and then take ownership of that. Okay, Bob, you said you need a painter. You own getting this chapter a painter. And Sue, you said you need an accountant. You own getting this chapter accountant. And have everybody take that ownership and that accountability. If everybody were to go run through a very simple exercise, I think it takes about 2 hours worth of work of taking that profession, go to 3 different websites, go to Google, go to LinkedIn, go to Facebook, and do some research on, let's just say you need a painter. I'm going to Google every painter within a 30-mile radius of my chapter, and I'm going to rank them based on reviews and recommendations and their website, etc. I'm going to go to LinkedIn. I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to go to Facebook and I'm going to literally type in, hey, who knows a great painter? And I'm going to take a list of those recommendations. At the end of that exercise, you should have at least 20 different names, company names to be inviting for that one profession. If you were to do that and then personally invite every single one of them, and my favorite invite is a phone call. I'm a big believer that it's the most effective way of doing it. If you ever want to hear my language on how to invite, I did a podcast on it on BNI Power of One, episode 566. You can hear how I would invite, but I think the personal phone call is the way to do it. If you were to invite all 20 of those people in an effective, confident manner, I believe you'll get about 7 or 8 of them to say yes, they want to come to your meeting. Of 7 or 8, you'll get 4 or 5 of them to show up, because we all know that everybody we invite doesn't necessarily show up to the meeting. You'll get about 4 or 5 of them to show up. And that means you got 4 painters now in the room at the same time, looking at the one seat your chapter has. I will bet good money you're going to get at least 2 different applications. And now your chapter gets to pick the best painter, and you strategically got the painter that you needed. Now, if everybody in that chapter just did that simple exercise this month, about 2 to 3 hours worth of work, your chapter doubles. It doubles, which we know quadruples the opportunities and the referrals generated just by the fact that we added that many people, not even getting into the fact of getting them active and getting them skilled and all of the other aspects that will make us even more effective with those people just by simply getting that amount of people in. We're going to quadruple, if not more, the results we're seeing. And it's a very small act individually. It's not a lot of work. It's not a lot of effort. It does take some time. And most often that's the thing that we miss out on. We have great intentions, but intentions do not equal results. But if you can own that, be accountable to that one small activity, and every member in the chapter does that, the cumulative results are amazing and huge. And it's the same thing with some of our other activities. If we could take ownership of better preparing our weekly presentations, you will get greater results if everybody does that. If everybody's not doing that, even if you prepare your weekly presentation, you spend a bunch of time practicing it, you get some coaching on it, you go and present it. But if everybody else is thinking about what they're going to talk about and not listening to you, it's not going to be very effective. But if everybody takes ownership of the small activity of just spending some time preparing, you will produce more results from your current chapter. If everybody took a little bit more time to put some strategy to their one-to-ones, you will produce more results than you currently are. It does not take grand leaps, crazy amounts of effort or time individually when we work effectively as a team. When it's only 10 or 20% of the chapter trying to do it for everybody, which in the case of growth is statistically true. It's the 80-20 rule, 100%. About 20% of your chapters actively trying to grow your chapter. The other 80% are letting it happen to them. Then yeah, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It's a slow process. It's probably not super effective for a lot of people. I'm a big believer that while bigger chapters make more money statistically, they don't necessarily make more money for everyone. Because a lot of people are just, again, letting the chapter grow around them and not strategically for them because they're not engaged in that process, what we talked about last week. But if you can get your chapter to start creating the culture of accountability, one of our core values, and it being accountable to some simple activities, some small activities when it's really broken down individually, the cumulative results will be astounding. That's all I got this week, Priscilla.
Oh, well, I think that's great. I really appreciate that. We just did a visitor day in my chapter, and we all invited many people, and we tried our best, and we got 30 acceptances and only 10 showed up.
Yeah.
And we weren't really very successful. It was kind of strange. But people are still visiting. They're just they haven't joined yet. So
Part of that is because it's if you create some competition, your
yeah,
conversion will go up. And the whole
right.
point of a visitor day is to get a lot of visitors there just because it increases conversion, increases competition, and it increases the energy. So a visitor day is nothing more than that collaborative, let's pick a day just to further increase our effectiveness in closing visitors to new members. Um, but the most effective way is instead of just coming up with a list of 30, 40 people to invite is invite 20 people from the same profession and everybody pick a different one. You'll be far more effective.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. So thank you for that. Okay, well, that's it for this week. This podcast is sponsored by MeisnerAudioPrograms.com. These audio programs will provide you with the tools and the inspiration to powerfully enhance your BNI experience. So check out the great material that's available to you at MeisnerAudioPrograms.com and then use the promo code IVAN50 for 50% off of everything. All of the proceeds go to the BNI Foundation. Thanks so much for listening. This is Priscilla Rice, and we look forward to having you join us again next week for another exciting episode of the official BNI podcast.